Hi everyone, my name is Patricia Worby. I am a gardener and a naturopath, which may seem like two very, very contrasting things. But in actual fact, they have a lot of similarities. And what I want to talk about today is the war on nature. Now, when I was learning to garden when I was quite young, I started when I was about 6, there was a very popular idea that we would beat nature through chemistry. The idea that we could spray things and feed things artificial fertilizer and basically make all the pests and diseases of nature disappear. And that idea also crossed over into food production and into lots of things, actually. So it was a really popular idea, but it had its limitations. And as we began to see, pests evolved. Diseases that had previously only existed at limited times became endemic. We sprayed them, we denuded the soils, we took away the natural nutrients which allowed the soil to repair itself, to actually have a vast array of beneficial organisms that would help maintain the balance of the ecology. And we watched as food yields went down and pests began to overrun. And then we found more chemicals, different chemicals, to try and deal with the symptoms of what we had already caused. Now, we're in a very strange situation at the moment where we think we're on a path to conquering nature. And I'm not going to talk about exactly what that means right now, because I think you all know. But the idea is that we're going to beat nature by being one step ahead. Now, the problem is that we don't really understand what we're dealing with here. The understanding of the microbes, the organisms that live in symbiosis with us, is only 10 to 15 years old. We really don't know the vast array, and we certainly don't know how to maintain the balance from technology. We do know how to live in harmony with nature. We've been doing that for hundreds of thousands of years, apart from in the West, where we've abandoned all that and we've gone to this sort of technocratic idea. And, you know, the result is we're all sicker. We may live longer, maybe. There is an argument around that maybe we've underestimated how long people lived in previous ages. But just saying we do live longer than we ever did. And this has been touted as, you know, one of the successes of modern medicine. But we also live sicker longer. So the last 10 to 15 years of most people's lives, if not last 20 to 30, are going to be with chronic illness. In the US already, it's something like 43% of people have a chronic illness, and 50% of children have a chronic illness. And we're heading the same way here in the UK, because we're following very many of the same ideas in terms of diet, in terms of lifestyle. You know, everything is 24/7 on. It's very stressful, particularly right now, because we're all in an uncertain time. But we are continuing this dialogue that says we are at war with nature and we have to conquer it. This dialogue has to change. It has to fundamentally be obliterated. We have to start again with our idea that we belong in nature. We can't subsume nature to our will. We have to take our part in nature and actually be respectful and honoring of that. And I think the current dialogue around what we need to do in order to survive is fundamentally flawed. And what it's going to do is make us more and more dependent on more and more chemicals, more and more interventions, instead of looking at the soil. And the soil in us is our gut. It's the gut flora, it's how well the gut is functioning, how it's interacting, how much information it's getting from the outside world, and also the organisms that live within and on us. And if we feed it the right food, if we give it the nutrients it needs, and most of us are completely nutrient deficient because we eat foods that are grown on soil that is denuded of nutrients. We cannot work or function properly when we are starving, which we are, even though we have plenty of food. It doesn't have the right nutrients. It is in itself lacking what we need. And thus our bodies are slowly degrading. And believe it or not, there are some organisms, very tiny organisms, that come along and they try and update and help us by changing our DNA in order to make us adaptive to this poisoned world that we live in. And they're called viruses. And they're an important part of Mother Nature, of the world that we live in. And no, we're going to go to war with those as well, because we've decided that they're out to kill us and we need to do everything possible to protect ourselves from them. Well, let's see how far that one goes. I myself want to try and strengthen my body, and I'm doing that, and I'm talking about it, and I won't stop talking about it. Catch my other videos for more specific information about how to strengthen your immunity. But number one, get out of fear, change your mindset. We need to find a new way to live on this earth, or we're going to be extinct very soon. Over and out. Take care of yourselves.